G'day, my name's Darryl Webb, and today I'm going to show you some different types of camp stoves and what ones work and what ones don't in different situations. After using them for a few decades, I've sort of got a good idea about it. We'll try some. I won't do it here. We'll go somewhere a little bit more scenic and try it there. Now, when people talk about camp stoves, I'm normally referring to the 2-burner camp stoves. You can cook some meat on a frying pan and cook some veggies. If you're doing those little single burner ones that are really designed for like jet boils and that, they do water fantastic, but they hot spot pots really easy, so you need to take better quality cookware with you. And the other thing that they sort of do is they tip over and that's easy. Even the ones that are designed to try and take a fry pan, for camping out of a car, 2 burners is the way to go. First things first, we're going to start off with a clicker stove. Of course, I'll open it up upside down. This one comes with a good hot plate. The plate's fantastic on this. Alright. So, before you grill me on these clicker stoves, I know the old ones are terrible. They were dangerous. The new ones, the cans have improved. About 3 years ago they changed the regulations on them, so they got regulated, so it's not so much stuff from overseas as it's junk. It's pretty good now. Simple to use, they work. The old ones, yes, I know again, they absolutely hated the wind, terrible in the cold. These guys have improved a bit. I say the old ones were bad with wind. I mean, you literally, someone on the next campsite could fart and it would blow your stove out. Now, they just work. They bought in, I've got this extra ring around here now. It's got this extra ring here. Just helps hide the flame a lot, and it does work. I'm not going to say it's absolutely great in the wind, but it's helped a lot. Pros and cons of these guys. The pros and cons are the gas is easy to get your hands on. They're easy, the kids can use them, so that's important to me. The kids, if they want to heat up some water for some 2-minute noodles or something, you can grab that and it'll work. It's very simple. You don't need a matches or light or anything. Just lock and unlock. Click, click, bang, it works. That's how simple it is. Easy to have a few things of these. They're cheap to run. What more can you ask for? But let's get on to the cons. They're the cons. What's the cons of these stoves? Well, the old ones were, I said, terrible with wind. These have improved a bit. They're still not great. The cold. I hate the cold. I found out firsthand. We went camping, the wife and the kids, and my youngest son, he was like 2 or 3 weeks old. We were out camping with some friends, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I thought, I'll just take the clicker stove. First time there, Vic High Country, 4 o'clock in the morning trying to heat up some baby bottles, and it's like the tiniest little flame. So here I am at 4 o'clock in the morning, we're trying to put cans to my arm, trying to keep cans warm while I'm trying to keep, the cans just freeze up, they just don't work. Now apparently these new cans, they fixed that a bit. I haven't tried it in the high country like that to see how the improvement actually is, but the old ones, as I said, they just froze up really quick. You don't even think about needing to put a jumper on. We're not talking about freezing cold, you felt like you needed to put a jumper on, and the performance of the stove was already started to deteriorate. So from that, they've gotten a lot better. But with that said, I recently did a trip this winter. We went up through Central Australia, and I took a large hooded barbecue with me, and we used that the Uluru campground, and that was the only time we used it. We kept on using this. I think that great quality, high quality hot plate actually helped with that decision, but we used this for the rest of the trip. You know, we were gone for a couple of months and just got used to everything, you know, from boiling the kettle in the morning to you know, cooking Moreton Bay bugs and whatever on the hot plates, and the kids could use it, and that was a big important part, so that made a big difference. Anyway, we'll try the next one. Okay, the next one's a simple little gas stove. This one's older than me, I think. I don't remember not having this. You can still buy these type of stoves. They're not crazy expensive or anything like that. They just work. Well, they should. Where the clicker stoves seem to suffer from the wind, these suffer equally from the wind. Not quite to the same extent. These little guards that are around it definitely help. I just always had a real hatred of gas bottles. They always run out at the most inconvenient time. So to sort of be set up for remote area travel, then all of a sudden you were finding that you were had to cut multiple gas bottles, especially when you started lining gas lights as well. I know that's all changed a bit now, but the principle stove is still good. Now, kids can light this easy. Anyone can light the stove easy. It's reliable. It's got a good tolerance to the wind to an extent. Gives good, very, very good heat. As you see, very easy to light. These are probably still the best all-rounder. If I had to have one stove, I've seen some of the newer ones now, and I'll put a link in the description to them. I haven't tried them yet, but it's like Coleman, the company Coleman, has gone out of their way to try and make some that are much more tolerant of the wind. They've got a little thing built around them, and they're starting to run these little gas canisters, you know, little screw-on type gas canisters, and they'll be on a bit of a rod outside and you screw it on. Same as what my Coleman hot water server uses. So they're expensive to run when you use them like that, but the dreaded gas bottles, they've always been a pain in the backside for me. If I've got the carry around with me or something like that and I'm carrying an extra gas bottle, it's not so bad, but if you're not, they're just big, they're bulky, yes, multiple little ones, gas bottles are not a thing. But great little stove. Anyone can use it. And that's it's important, I guess, isn't it? Now, no campsite review, camp stove review, would be complete without a different type of stove. Would have been late 90s, early 2000s, and I still use exclusively in campsites gas lanterns and gas stoves off a gas bottle, and you know how much I love gas bottles. I discovered Coleman petrol lanterns, and I thought that was a great idea. Unchaining from the gas stoves, all of a sudden I could go away for a week and take a 5 litre fuel can, and I could run the gas light, the fuel light lantern all night, and I could cook with a fuel petrol stove. These will run on, these are dual fuel stoves, so it'll run on shellite, it'll run on a couple of other things actually if you try it, but LED technology wasn't really widespread and definitely wasn't affordable. So at the time, it made sense. This stove, what does it do? What does it do different from the gas stove? Well, it's got a fuel tank. You can run it on unleaded, that's what this has got in it at the moment, unleaded petrol. How does it work? Well, it works pretty good. It ignores the wind completely. The wind don't bother it one bit. Pros and cons of it. Well, I'll start with some cons. The cons are that it's not really that easy to use. If my kids wanted to use it, whatever, I'd choose to light it for them. If a mate who'd had too many strawberry lemonades wanted to use it, I'd light it for them. But with that said, it is easy. Once you've done it 2 or 3 times, you've got the gist of it, and it works. What else can it do that's cons? If you haven't got your thing tuned just right, then it makes you carve your eyes in flame like that, a big yellow flame. And it can dirty up some of your cookware, you know, put a bit of black soot on it. And I said, it's just not, the biggest thing is it's just not user friendly for people who haven't used it before. Like straightforward, it starts pretty easy. Once it's lit and going, you're going to light the other side, but it's got a little valve on the side here. It's a little bit complex, but ignore the wind. Doesn't worry about wind whatsoever. The cold, doesn't matter if it's, I don't know how far it's cold. I've used this in the high country in winter, and it just works. It just makes great heat. Great heat, and ignores the wind. So that's pretty important. Now, as far as it goes with a stove that's an all-rounder, if I could only choose one stove that would do everything. It might not be the easiest one to use, but it will always work. It will always work. Doesn't matter how cold it is, no gas bottles, no nothing, they work. They're a little bit noisy, no noisier than a gas stove. So, it's pretty good. You need to carry these little fuel filter to fill up the tank. I said that it is a little bit high maintenance to keep it going. I wouldn't let them, not for my kids and that to use, but I'd choose a clicker stove or a normal gas stove first for them to use. But as far as this is still a current model, I still make these. they're really good. That's all I can say, they're really good. You can chuck a hot plate on there, you can chuck pots and peas on there. You can boil water so fast in this baby, it's fantastic. I'm not trying to turn you off the other ones. As I said before, I did a trip halfway around Australia, across the Gulf country and back down after going through Central Australia. And I used the other one all the time. I didn't take this with me, but that was because the weather was good. If the weather had been a lot poorer, you know, very windy, very cold, high altitude, it would have been this guy in the car. I wouldn't have bothered taking the other. It just wouldn't have happened. So, yeah, don't discount the dual fuel Coleman. You might be pleasantly surprised. Even if you can do most things, you'll have no dramas running this. It's not hard to run at all. Well, it's that time of the day. Proper beer. Now, if you guys have liked this video, I try and put one out every week, but it'd be really good if you could thumbs it up if you liked it in the YouTube app, and actually subscribe to me in YouTube. I try and put one out every week, and it's usually got something to do with four-wheel drives or camping equipment or just a general bit of exploration, caravan stuff. It'd be much appreciated.